welcome back to the How I Ripped Off Buffy the Vampire Slayer podcast. My name is Chip Thompson, and I'm joined as always by MC.
That would be me.
Hello, and today we are going to bring you Chip Season 1, Episode 4, Home Team Part 2. God, I'm making that way complicated
That's
now.
a very long thing. Also, you didn't ask me how I am, Chip. Is this a thing that doesn't occur in Chip, or are you just like passively aggressively angry at me?
So what happened last week,
because
MC?
I had a headache last night?
Well,
What happened last week? Well, speaking of passive-aggressive, Chip.
Chip's not passive-aggressive, he's just... Well, yeah, I guess, if there's a homeless person involved.
So, yes, well, speaking of aggressive, Chip killed a man again. And he felt bad about it, but it's okay because he was a criminal or something.
Yeah, a bad criminal. Like,
bad criminal,
a really,
yeah.
really bad criminal. Like, the worst criminal you could imagine.
Riley, Dudley, whatever his name is.
Ridley
went along to the crime scene where there were chalk outlines, and he asked a police office, hey, who's this stiff then? And the policeman office was like, oh, he's a very bad person, and if somebody killed him, they shouldn't feel guilty.
And also, Kat and Chip are off hunting two vampires who apparently are very rare in New York.
Yes, unheard of, and
Still
people
don't
seem
know why.
quite intimidated or surprised by it. I can't remember which.
There's a lot of emotions going on, but also none really, because we don't know what's going on. So hopefully that will get explained. Mm-hmm. Let's find out, MC. Let's get into it. This is Home Team Part 2.
I'm fine, by the way.
Previously on Chip. He felt something grab his arm. Instinctively, Chip spun around and landed a kick in the midsection of his attacker. The white tiles crumbled to the floor as the body smashed into it and dropped to the concrete as well. Chip rolled the body over and peeled off the balaclava it was wearing. Expecting to see a demon, Chip was shocked to see that the dead body belonged to a young male who couldn't have reached his 20s yet. Chip dropped the guy's head and ran for the exit, trying to block a flurry of memories. The two men looked at each other for a second before walking back towards Ridley. He was still at the back of the bar beside the pool table. As the stepped forwards, the two men changed from their everyday human faces to their demon persona of being creatures of the undead.
Vampires!
Ridley said as he tried to back up and tuck his money away at the same time. Your lucky day! I don't eat your kind! He snatched the money from Ridley's paw and changed back to his human face.
Seeing as you're still classified as a tourist in this city, I'll level with you.
Ridley said.
In New York, there are no vampires, for a very good reason. If they're here, then trouble was right behind them.
Fine. Chip replied, I'll check it out, but I want you to do something for me. That guy, the one I... Find out who he is.
Are you sure about that?
Dead sure. Are you sure this is the place? Kat asked, her accent changing again slightly maybe. Her and Chip were standing in alley in what used to be part of the Bronx in New York.
But now it's alley.
Wait, where did the Bronx go?
It migrates. With the seasons. It flies south for the winter.
Has it gone with the famous alleys of Victorian London? They had been following the trail of the vampires for a few hours, and people they ran into, God, were more than happy to help.
Or they're just going on, excuse me, mate, you seen any vampires around here?
I saw a vampire, it was really
big pointy
great.
teeth, right? Yeah.
Especially as Chip seemed overly keen to pay them.
With what money? He's already spent next month's rent.
He's just got some loose change he had on the back of his armchair. It had been a very non-violent night. Maybe Chip's trying to compensate for the fact that he murdered someone. Well, manslaughtered someone, I guess.
Yeah.
This is the place, Chip said. But how do we know for sure? Then Chip and Kat heard a faint moan coming from behind a huge dumpster. Oh no, it's Beat Lassie's back. They rushed around and saw two homeless men.
Stay back, Chip. It's not worth it.
One was dead, the other barely alive. No, not going to make a joke there about Chip being grateful for that.
I was going to wait for the next bit, but I mean, you've ruined the flow, so carry on.
Both had their throats ripped out.
Also, it says barley alive, which must be related to the barley feet.
Oh my god.
So Chip feels a kinship with this homeless person because grain.
They rushed around and saw two homeless men. One was dead, the other barely alive. Both had their throats ripped out. Call an ambulance. Chip said as he turned to walk away. He'd seen enough death for one night. What? Don't you think we should take care of them ourselves? They've been bitten. Won't they become vampires as well? Only if they were fed. Given a Subway sandwich afterwards. How do you know they weren't? Cat, just shut up. Excuse me? The dying hobo started to point across the street whilst... What? The dying hobo started to point across the street whilst trying to speak. Street?
Yes, that makes sense.
Okay.
Right, I was confused too.
Cat knelt down next to him. What is it? Devils. He barely managed.
Oh,
Oh
barley.
my god, why can't I spell barley?
You're clearly hungry when you wrote this.
For barley?
Yeah, barley's nice. Cook it in some stock.
I didn't think I knew what barley was back then. The devils. He barely managed. He pointed towards a hotel across the street. Then he died.
Straight out of Sonic High School there.
The devils.
He only had 2 days left till retirement.
From being homeless?
Yeah, he was going to retire on his pension.
Chip had already started to walk. Cat had to catch up to him. You're a real asshole tonight, aren't you?
Not killing the homeless people. He's like, well, normally I would, all right?
But no, because it's because he didn't want to take care of them and help them.
Oh, that's what she meant.
Yeah.
Sure she did.
But not when it comes to dealing with this city's bad guys. Want to tell me what's up with that? Chip just ignored Cat and carried on walking. They reached the hotel lobby. It was massive, with plush red carpets on the floor and wallpaper that was more expensive than what the average Joe would make in 6 months.
Oh, that expensive wallpaper. That's how you know a hotel is good. You don't go by the number of stars it has or the reviews. You just go in, look at the wallpaper.
Oh, I wouldn't be able to afford that in 6 months. Chip scanned the area. Great. What are we going to do now? Bribe the hotel staff? We're going to follow the vampires. Chip pointed to 2 men who were walking up the double wide stairs at the other end of the hotel lobby. How can you tell? The blood on their clothes. Dead giveaway.
Right.
How have they got
Ninja
checked into a hotel
senses.
with, like, covered in blood? Mind you, Kat's never seen a vampire, so she doesn't understand that when they feed, they're just covered in blood afterwards.
Yeah, sure.
Chip and Cat followed the 2 vampires up to 4th floor of the hotel and watched them enter room number 77. Cat went to kick the door in when Chip stopped her. What now? We're not going in there unprepared. There could be more. Then we'll take them out. It's just a couple of vampires. Cat kicked the hatch on the wall that led down to the hotel's laundry room and it broke into numerous parts. She picked up the piece that looked the sharpest. Nice on, Chip said sarcastically. Oh dear, I feel like Chip has a lot more typos than Tamora Gayson.
Yeah. And like we said last time, he was just the one you wrote for the money.
Yes, yeah. What? Cat asked offensively. Vampires have great hearing. Chip opened the door to where they had seen the vampires enter and just caught a glimpse of one of them disappearing out of the window. Come on! Cat yelled as she pushed past Chip and ran towards the windows. Chip sighed and slowly walked forwards. It's like he's got an enthusiastic puppy dog with him or something. I want to kill the vampires! He peered out of the window and saw Cat making her way down the metal fire escape. The vampires, however, were already in the alley below the hotel and making a run for it. Chip exited the room. I like that Chip's never really questioned why Cat's kind of super strong and really good at fighting. And
Well, we don't actually know. One of the things about Buffy and anything with sort of normal people fighting supernatural things is that the strength level of all those things kind of vary a lot.
Yeah, Xander should really be killing vampires.
Yeah, so we don't know if Cat is just someone who's done 2 years of Taekwondo, which according to Buffy logic means that she can kill supernatural killing machines.
Well, according to this, you only need a year, so... Ridley leant against the alley wall and took a breather. He hadn't stopped too many times since leaving the subway station as he was desperate to get to Chip so he could inform the ninja of what he'd learned. Ridley also knew that, all being well, Chip would be out looking for those 2 vampires he had encountered earlier. Oh yeah, the vampires, Ridley had tried to rip them off and they were wise to it.
Yeah.
In fact, it was those same 2 vampires that were running towards Ridley right now.
Crap.
He said as they got within 2 feet of him, Like, was he just standing there staring at them the whole time as they're running down the
Look
street?
familiar. Pointy teeth, covered in blood. What could it be?
Maybe I should get out the way. Well, looky who it is, the first vamp said.
What a coincidence.
His buddy said.
Hey, guys.
Ridley said brightly.
Sorry I can't stay and chat, but things to do, people to see.
He went to rush past them when the first vampire stopped him. Not so fast. Where's our money?
See, the thing about that is...
The vampire threw a big right hand that dropped Ridley. He clutched his jaw as he lay on the dirty alley floor, thankful it was still attached to his face. It's your lucky day, pal. Seems we're in a hurry too.
What a minute, John.
What a minute it had been. The tales they
Running
could tell.
away from a hotel. We went into the hotel, that wallpaper. Then there was a crash outside. We ran outside, run into the pool shark. What's next? Ice cream? I don't know.
I just like he's called John as well. The great mythical vampire in New York. John!
What a minute, John.
The second vampire said.
Why don't we take him with us?
Not a bad idea, Bruce. We could our money back in blood. Jesus. The two vampires picked Ridley up off the floor.
What happened to not eating my kind?
Who said anything about eating you? John said.
You, we've just eaten, but nothing wrong, little torture.
Is he calling Ridley Little Torture?
It's actually quite creepy.
Yeah. Yes, that's totally what I meant.
Yes. Little torture.
Oh, God. They grabbed Ridley by the scruff of the collar and dragged him away.
Why are there never any vegetarian vampires?
Ridley said under his breath.
Hilarious.
He's so calm and considering he's just been kidnapped by two vampires. The puddle hadn't looked very deep from her jumping position, but as soon as Kat's black and red boots touched the ground, they were in 5 inches of water. She took a second to catch her breath and decide which way the vampires had gone. They had been so fast on the way down, almost as if they had jumped. Okay, could anything survive a fall from that height?
Perhaps some sort of mythical supernatural creature, maybe.
She's never seen a vampire before. She decided it was best not to think about it now and ran towards the entrance of the hotel. When she turned the corner, an arm reached out and grabbed her. Kat almost caught Chip with a right hand, but he was quick enough to block it. He's so quick, Chip. He's really quick.
Good at sex.
He looked at her grimly and returned her hand.
Did he, pull it off her?
I think this belongs to you.
Let me give you a hand.
Jesus, I think we lost them, she gasped. More than likely. Chip replied without emotion. How did they get to be so fast? Fast? Fast!
The ever-revolving accent of Kat.
Chip sighed and walked away. Kat, not for the first time that evening, gave chase. Not everyone is a great vampire expert like you. How come you know so much? I've had a few encounters. So give me the lowdown. I'll get the part about stakes, sunlight, decapitation, but are they really strong enough to survive a fall like that? I've landed bigger jumps than that. It's so really big jumps, you have no idea, so much bigger.
At least 5 steps off the stairs. I did 6 once, but then I kind of hurt my ankle.
Oh, look at you, Mr. Big Shot, Kat said sarcastically. Are you going to be asking these stupid questions all night? A small amount of anger crept into Chip's voice. What do you expect? There's you going all soft on me and taking your sweet time tracking these things. We hardly know each other, and yet you seem to think you're my dad.
Chip's like, well, he did call me daddy. Because I'm good at sex.
And I didn't go soft on you then, did I? Kat, for God's sake, shut up! Chip reacted angrily. He's not being very nice today, is he?
He's being a dick, isn't he?
Yeah.
I guess it's the whole manslaughter thing.
Yeah,
It's got him all cranky.
Manslaughter always gets me cranky. Fine, you don't want to play nice? I'll do all the sharing. The reason I don't know so much about vampires is because they're a rarity in these parts. Any vampire coming to New York has got to be a serious badass.
I like how Chip just doesn't ask about that. He's just like, yeah, whatever.
He's too busy brooding about the manslaughter.
Ah, yeah, true.
Chip didn't reply. He just kept walking, trying to use his ninja sense to track the vampires. He knew they were dangerous creatures, and that people had already been killed. Yet he just couldn't seem to care right now.
Just really changed. He's always so full of compassion and care for his fellow man.
The events of the subway station were still fresh in his mind.
There we go.
There we go. It's because he's all dark, MC. You see? He's got something on his mind that he can't talk about because it's emotions. It's just making him
Not that he has any emotions.
There they are. Chip said. He and Kat had been following the trail the vampires had left, which was relatively easy. They weren't the most subtle vampires. How did you do that? Kat asked. Do what? Learn to trick vamps like this. Jump from buildings that have got more stories than a library and all those flashy fighting moves. Something just don't add up. More stories than a library?
That's quite good. You probably stole it from somewhere.
Probably. It's not the worst thing I've ever written.
It's all right.
Yeah. Well, I could say the same thing for you. A girl going from... Let's just drop it, all right?
What was he going to say? Because he doesn't know anything about Cat.
Probably... No.
A bar. Working in a bar.
Yeah, going from a bartender to fighting demons.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's what he was going to say. Chip and Kat were standing outside a restaurant in one of the rougher neighbourhoods. It was Italian, and the two vampires were standing inside. Oh, the restaurant. I thought you meant the neighbourhood. It was an Italian rough neighbourhood. It was Italian, and the two vampires were standing inside. The restaurant was closed today, but the vampires were not alone. They were chatting to 4 men, and it was easy to see who they were. Well-made Italian suits, Sicilian-coloured faces. What?
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God.
It's like a new type of racism. You're a pioneer.
I don't want to be. I'm like a pioneer, like the people that went to America for the first time and shot all the indigenous people. Well-made Italian suits, Sicilian-coloured faces, and a gun in each holster around their fat waists. It appeared the two vampires were in league with the New York Mafia.
Oh, it wouldn't be a Tomorrow Gayson series without a showdown with the Mafia.
Oh, they love the Mafia, don't they? The ninjas. They're always getting into scrapes with the Mafia. But not the Japanese Mafia this time, as they were called. Chip had had dealings with the Mafia before in Tokyo, but they were different in America. Still violent, but not loving the torture.
Japanese Mafia love their torture.
That's not a thing, is it? As his mind started to wander back to the old days, Chip saw another man tied to a chair. Ridley. Chip said under his breath as he saw his, well, perhaps friend wasn't the right word, tied up and gagged. Even when he's tied up in front of the Mafia and vampires, he's like, he's not my friend.
I mean, acquaintance at best.
He had a massive purple bruise on the side of his forehead. What did you just say? Kat asked as Chip came away from the window and started to make his way around to the back of the restaurant, looking for another way in. Chip looked back quizzically. About a girl going from guy to guy, you were going to say? Is that what you think of me? Slut girl?
There we go. She's saying what I was worrying about. But maybe it'll be a thing when Chip was like, no, I was going to say intelligent, powerful woman.
Maybe it's me getting really meta and I'm like, I'm going to make the audience think that this is what I'm going to say and convey that through Kat. But really, Chip's like, no, I thought you were really independent and you should have the vote.
And then he throws open his shirt to reveal that T-shirt that says, this is what a feminist looks like.
This isn't the time or the place. We've got 2 vampires in a room talking with the Mafia. Bigger things going on than you and me. There is no you and me. Kat, just go home. What? I miss out on all that violence? I don't think so.
What exit was that?
Well, I don't know.
think so.
I never know. But I had to pronounce it as it was written.
No,
I don't think so. Chip looked at Kat and could still see her natural beauty underneath the need for trouble.
Born feminist right there.
But today wasn't the day to make friends. If it's down to me, there won't be any violence, he said. Hey, I came all this way to fight a vampire, and that's what I want to do. And there ain't a thing you can do to stop me.
Is Chip's pacifism, newfound pacifism, extending to vampires now? Is it like some sort of catch and release thing where he takes their teeth out, puts on a radio collar on them, it's like, now run free.
That last murder has basically made him a Buddhist. Hey, I came all this way to fight a vampire, and that's what I want to do. And there ain't a thing you can do to stop me. I could stop you, Chip said aggressively. Oh, he's such
Hot.
a dick, isn't he? Jesus Christ. He instantly regretted saying those words, but thankfully, Kat was too busy to hear. That makes it creepier if he's just got said that behind her and she hasn't...
Whispering.
Yeah. Ugh. She was looking at a window that led into the kitchen. Before he had time to stop her, Kat lifted her leg and shot her boot through it. To be fair, I can see why Chip is like, please just go home, you're not helping.
Vampire.
Glass went everywhere and an alarm started to sound.
She's not doing too good at this whole stealth thing, is she?
Kat smiled at Chip and entered the restaurant. She just wants a straight up fight.
She does.
She's not worried about the mafia people having guns, a hostage.
The two supernatural vampires who must be incredible badasses if they're in New York.
Maybe that just shows Kat's got a lot of confidence in herself. Whether it's overconfidence or not.
Maybe she has superpowers as well.
This is what I'm thinking. Kat smiled at Chip and entered the restaurant. He could hear the glass cracking beneath her feet and guessed the people inside could too. Chip quickly followed, knowing the mafia would have had their guns ready. They weren't the most understanding of people at the best of times.
Hey, that's stereotyping.
When they entered the main part of the restaurant, after walking through the kitchen, fucking hell, they saw the gangsters and their vampire friends waiting. Chip pushed his way past Kat, encased they opened fire. Encased. Oh my god. I really did not get this proofread, did I?
I thought I proofread all your stuff.
Alright, I'll blame you then.
Yeah, I mean, no, I didn't. I remember I didn't do this one. Chip!
Ridley called out with delight. My friend! My good old buddy! My chum! Friend of yours? Kat asked. Not exactly.
Oh,
Chip replied. Oh, good. One of the mafia types said as he aimed the gun away from Chip and towards Ridley's head. Then you don't mind if we redecorate this place with his brains?
Also, it says, you mind.
Oh, then you mind. Also, do you like my sort of Godfather-esque accent?
Yeah, really good.
It's not Eastern European at all.
Hey, that's the bozos from the hotel room.
Bruce the vampire said. He and his friend John were in full vamp mode.
Oh, a return to full vamp mode.
We've missed it greatly.
Aww.
Also, I like that Bruce and John are definitely friends. He and his friend John.
Hey, I mean, maybe there's something that Chip, with his newfound accepting, peace-loving state, he can learn from these vampires about friendship.
Aw.
You know these people.
Another mafia guy asked, his broad Italian accent coming through. Well
Really?
done, yeah.
Sounds like Captain Birdseye from previously.
Well, enough to bite them, John said. Tell me you're not going to pay these guys off, Kat said to Chip. No, he replied. I haven't got any money left. It was quite a funny line.
Yeah.
Yay! Something good amongst the years of shit that we've had to wallow through.
Pack it up, guys. This is where it peaks. It's all downhill from here.
Kat pulled the piece of wood she had gotten from the hotel out of her trouser pocket. This acted as a catalyst to the fight, as the vampires, upon seeing the stake, leapt forwards. Bruce went after Kat, whilst John flew towards Chip. The ninja took the vampire by both arms and dragged him to the floor. Kat, not expecting the strength of the vampire, was pushed backwards into the kitchen area. John lifted his leg and threw Chip into the nearest wall. Again, someone gets thrown into a wall. We need some sort of drinking game for this, like, both seasons where...
Oh, yeah, it's like the new version of Shinnecoin appearing.
Yes, every time someone gets thrown into a wall, you drink. Mm-hmm. Okay, there's your first one.
Do you think Chip's a bit rusty at fighting vampires? Because it's been a while.
Oh, possibly. And I wonder if he's going to hold back at all, because he's all, I don't want to do violence because of the manslaughter. He had been distracted as Kat and the other vamp were out of sight. Bruce suddenly came crashing into view and threw a table. It's spelt through as in THERW.
Oh.
So it's like he threw a table at someone, but I think he's
thought...
gone through a table.
Yeah, I thought you meant that he'd literally pick up a table and throw it.
Well, he is a badass.
Yeah.
Kat came from the kitchen, her stake still gripped tightly in her right hand. John flicked out his leg and caught Chip square in the face, busting his nose. Now more focused on the fight at hand, Chip caught the vamp's second attempt using his own legs to take John down. The vamp didn't stay down for long, nipping up and stand directly in front of Chip. John threw a combination 6 punches, all of which Chip blocked easily. Seeing an opportunity, Chip swung John around, spun himself and sent a kick into the John's midsection. Oh my god. Vampires don't need to breathe, but he let out a muffled sigh as the pain entered his body. I mean, a sigh and a breath are different.
Yeah, I guess it's saying like he didn't get winded, but it still hurt.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad you're back to defending this. John awaited the follow-up attack, not knowing whether he would survive it. He looked up and saw the man who had broken into his hotel room and had now tracked him down to Roberto's restaurant. Kat, with her vampire on the floor, tried to jam the piece of pointy wood into his heart, but Bruce was aware enough to block any stabbing attempt. They struggled on the floor for a few moments before he was able to snap her right wrist.
Ooh.
She dropped the steak and let out a scream of pain. Bruce threw Kat off him and towards the locked front door of the restaurant.
But not the wall this time.
I think it counts.
Okay.
If you're playing along at home, drink. Chip was in flashback mode.
Oh no!
Numb! Chip was in flashback mode. After laying that kick into the vampire's ribs, he saw the young man he had killed earlier, his limp body as he died. Now, this body was accompanied by the others Chip had kicked.
Everyone he's kicked. Oh, all that kicking. I've kicked too many people. I can't take it anymore. I'm a kicker. I'm a natural, born, cold-blooded kicker.
Can you just imagine the montage now of like a close-up of every time he'd kicked someone? Now, this body was accompanied by the others Chip had kicked. The people begged for mercy, but Chip wasn't listening. He slaughtered them without question and watched as the hell beast he raised destroyed whatever was in his path.
Kicking things. Nuts to this.
The guy standing next to Ridley said as he cocked his gun and placed it beside his hostage's head.
Chip!
Ridley yelled as he closed his eyes and waited for the feeling of a bullet exploding in his head.
That's how it works. You get shot in the head and you feel the bullet go into your head and then explode. Like, it takes, it's only 10 seconds. Like, ow, this hurts.
I knew how murder worked.
Kicking.
Chip just came out of his daze to see John running towards him and the mafia guy about to kill Ridley. Without even thinking, he let a small throwing knife ease into his hand from the holder inside his coat whilst reaching for something in his coat with the other hand. Oh my god, it's like a really weird coat version of Twister. In one fell swoop, Chip let the knife and stake go. The first pierced the vampire's heart in midair, causing Chip to be covered in a cloud of dust. The knife entered the gangster's neck, killing him almost instantly.
Do you think the gangster had a magnet neck?
That's quite a cool moment though,
Yeah.
Pulling out a stake and a knife, throwing them both at once.
Yeah.
Cool. Ridley opened his eyes and to his amazement was still alive. He looked down at the dead mafia heavy beside him and thank God they hadn't bothered to tie him down. What? I thought he was tied to a chair.
Maybe he was just sitting politely in a chair.
Oh, I guess if someone's got a gun to your head, you're going to sit, aren't you?
Yeah.
He noticed the other two men going for their guns. Ridley rugby tackled one of them from behind, whilst Chip, elevated with the help of a table, bundled over the other.
Was that the table that the vampire threw earlier?
I am confused by that. So he's just stood on a table right now, like he's jumped up on a table to tackle someone?
Sure.
All right.
I guess it kind of makes sense. It's sort of, you just missed the previous step.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Their pal, the fourth mafia type, I thought
There
there was
were four?
like two, looked around at the carnage. Rather than shooting anyone with his gun, he fired at the glass window. Leaping out, he sprinted away from the restaurant. That is a smart mafia type.
Mm-hmm.
Get the hell out of there.
Mm-hmm.
He might get kicked. Fighting a vampire one-handed wasn't something Kat wanted to do often. So far, she hadn't been able too much offence in. The vampire was doing a good job of keeping her off guard. Bruce laid another punch into Kat's face. She was bleeding heavily now. The vampire smiled and opened his jaw, revealing his row of teeth complete with fangs. At least they're not under his nose.
Full vamp mode.
He went for Kat's neck, but almost like a jerk reaction, her knee found its way into Bruce's groin.
I can't tell if that's a joke about knee-jerk reaction and her knee jerking into his groin. No, I don't think so. jerk reaction.
Maybe. I think that is a slight possibility.
Let's go with that.
Okay.
Back to my old role of defending some parts of this.
Piece of shit I wrote 18 years ago.
Yeah. I feel like that number's going to go up every week, just to sort of distance yourself from it further.
450 years ago.
In a previous incarnation.
He rolled off Kat and stayed down on the floor. She searched for her steak. Chip easily pinned the mafia guy to the floor. He wasn't going anywhere. Okay, I'm going to let you go and you're going to tell me what's going on here. Chip slowly released his grip on the fat Italian man. As soon as he did, the gangster reached into his jacket and pulled out a small handgun. Chip pushed the gun back to the ground, moving it closer to the guy's face. You're cool, Chip said as he helped squeeze the trigger.
Right, I guess he's over the whole not killing people thing.
Well, he's already killed that mafia guy.
I was like, well, I tried. It's like, when you're on a diet and you sort of, you go, you have like a dessert and then you're like, well, fuck it then.
This is Chip's murder cheat day.
He's trying to restrict himself to 7 murders a week or less.
But it's
or
just
kicks.
Yeah, it's the kicking he's trying to cut out.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, he's trying to kick the kicks.
Where you get the calories, yeah.
Oh, so just slightly read ahead. I thought Chip was like, you're cool, do you want to live or die? But it's actually, with his guy dead, Chip looked across to see how Ridley was doing.
He does say he helped squeeze the trigger.
But I thought it was like not all the way, just sort of like, I'm going to kill you if you don't talk. But
no.
Chip's just back on the murder,
Made a bullet explode in his head.
With his guy dead, Chip looked across to see how Ridley was doing. He was sitting on top of his man, laying some hard punches into him. Seeing Kat and the vampire still tussling, Chip gave aid. He grabbed the vamp by his neck and held him tight. I'll make you a deal. You get the hell out of here and you don't ever come back to New York, and I'll let you keep your undead life. Tell your friends the same.
It's back to pacifist again. He's going to give him money as well.
It's changed really quick as well, isn't it? It's just blowing the brains out of a mafia guy to a vampire and being like, you go though. Bruce nodded and went to leave. As he did, Chip thrust a chunk of wood from one of the broken tables into his heart.
And he's back again. It's like, murder, mercy, murder, mercy.
Never mind, I'll tell them myself. Using the gun he pulled off the gangster, Chip killed the last Romanian mafia guy.
Right, okay.
And helped Kat to her feet. That didn't last long.
Yeah.
He's got no money left. She was woozy and would need at least a week to recover from this fight. So now you fought a vampire, Chip said. Kat just nodded and tried to keep herself from passing out. Chip held her up by her left arm to keep her from falling. You okay? He asked Ridley. The New York native looked pissed off and was holding his right arm as if it was about to fall off.
I guess I don't like being held hostage.
Ridley's aggression faded pretty quickly as he walked behind Chip and Kat. Is there a thing there? Or is he just annoyed?
What?
Because he's been so calm about everything up until now, but there's a slight hint of aggression there.
I mean, I think that's fair. Or is it because he was beating up the dude?
Yeah,
so
maybe.
Yeah. Getting ready to kick someone.
They left through the back door of the restaurant, as in the distance the sound of sirens could be heard. The apartment seemed extremely quiet after the previous night's escapades. Escapades?
It's a word for
Murder.
It. Shenanigans.
Chip didn't feel like sleeping. Sorry, Chip didn't feel like sleeping. Oh, God. Killing people wasn't much of a substitute for milk and cookies.
I get the two confused sometimes.
Do you ever feel like Chip's outlook on life is slightly skewed? All morning he'd been trying to take his mind off things, but a spout of meditation and exercises only brought more thinking.
I think you mean bout, but you put spout. Like, I'm a little teapot, short and stout.
He just filled up a teapot full of meditation and exercise. Chip had contemplated going out into the day, but the sunlight just seemed to burn his eyes at the present, because he's so dark and tortured. There was a knock at the door. Chip answered. It was Ridley. Of course it was. Who else is it? Why do you knock? I just gathered it was you.
Just showing a bit of courtesy.
He's just like pulled up his skirt and like bowed down slightly.
Sir? Just showing a bit of courtesy.
Ridley shrugged. Chip left the door open so Ridley could enter. You feeling okay now?
I'm over the worst of it. By the way, I got something on the subway guy.
Chip paused and stared at Ridley.
He was a no mark. Wanted by the police for a whole list of crimes, including GTA, drug running, and drug pushing. You did the world a favour. All
the known crimes.
He stole a car. Good thing he's dead.
Chip scratched his head, not really knowing what to make of the information. Still can't justify the fact I killed him, he said.
Did he kick him, though? Oh, he did, actually, yeah.
Yeah, kicked him into a wall, so drink retroactively.
Meh, chalk it up to a mistake.
Really, so forgiving.
He's a judge. He was a judge previously.
I'll let you off this time.
You drowned your children. Hey, it happens. They're loud.
You kicked 7 people, but that's okay.
Meh, chalk it up to a mistake.
Ridley sat down on the settee, whilst Chip in the armchair opposite.
Wallow in your own pit of self-misery for a while. Feel the guilt. Get up and get over it. That's the beautiful thing about this world, bud. You always get plenty of chances.
It's not great counselling, Ridley.
At least he says to feel the guilt.
True.
Don't repress it.
Yeah, deal with it.
Yeah,
okay, fair enough. Chip thought for a second before saying, how did you get all that?
Well, I didn't bribe no one like yourself. I have my contacts.
These contacts know anything else?
They know a lot of things. But more specifically about your case, the guy you stopped was in league with those vampires you and me met earlier. Convenient. And they just happened to be in a secret meeting with the New York mafia. Something just doesn't add up. Drugs, vamps, crime. What's it all mean?
It's all connected.
Just the mugger that Chip just happened to get accosted by and kill, just happened to be involved with the vampires he just happened to meet.
Yeah, of course. It's the cosmic worlds coming together. At least we know one person out there can tell us.
Ah, the egg that got away. The egg that got away.
That famous saying.
I often think about the egg that got away. Out there. Rolling.
Doing crime. Probably should track him down.
Meh.
Ridley said for the second time that evening.
I'm too bruised to go mafia hunting. Something will turn up. It always does. By the way, how's your friend?
Cat? I know as much as you do. I took her to the hospital, and after they put a cast on her arm, she was gone. Out of the toilet window, no less. She'll be okay. She's a tough one.
Good old American healthcare.
Yeah, to be fair, I just think
Yeah.
Cat did the right thing there.
Didn't want to spend $100,000 on getting a wrist set, so I wouldn't be so sure about that, bud. Watch her. She's a time bomb just waiting to explode. I really should talk to her someday.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll be a very soothing influence on her. Chip smiled for a brief second.
Was that literally the first smile from Chip?
Oh my god,
in the entire season.
Season 2 of Tomorrow Gason, when he was evil. And probably since season 1 when he was not evil. Holy shit.
Hey, if it's about the birds and the bees, then talk to your parents.
My parents are dead. Chip commented without realising he had said. He had said? All day I've heard that vampires are so rare in New York and that those two had to be badasses to be here. Why?
Finally.
Finally! Yeah, this is what I wanted to find out.
Because, my friend...
Ridley stood up.
There are hundreds of things a millions times worse than vampires in NYC. See you around.
Ridley walked towards the apartment's front door. You will, Chip said after Ridley had left. And that's the end of Home Team, Part 2. Well, it's an explanation of why there's no vampires in New York.
And it's a bit shit and kind of what I was expecting, to be honest.
Yeah, pretty much. It's quite vague.
Yeah.
It's like, there's just things that are worse here. So,
what things? All things that kick?
Demons that turn into skips. Fat mafia guys with questionable accents. So, probably they didn't seem that badass. I guess because they were mixed up in the mafia. Maybe that's why the vampires were here.
Yeah.
So, not necessarily like all super evil vampires, just like working vamps.
Yeah,
because
the working class vamp who couldn't afford the wallpaper in that hotel with 6 months' salary.
Why was this episode called Home Team?
Yes.
Because Chip is learning about New York life, so he's on Team New York?
I guess, or is it about the mafia? No.
I don't know.
It's dumb.
I thought there was going to be like a bomb at like a baseball game or something.
That would be so much better.
I know. I'm going to go back and rewrite this.
I don't think you should stop at just this episode.
I guess we've spent a bit more time building up this fictional style of New York, you know, like
We have.
there's quite a lot of bad things here, like vampires don't come.
Yeah.
Also maybe a way to kind of separate Chip from Tamora Gayson in the sense of that, okay, the vampires are over here, we're going to do something a bit different over here. Not necessarily good, but, you know, there's that. We've had little hints about Kat and Ridley, we've had a bit more of them, and Chip seems to be, I mean, he wasn't for the longest time, but just at the end there's a slight hint that, you know, he's going to work with Ridley, he'll check in on Kat maybe.
He smiled.
Yeah, after he was quite a dickhead towards them, but he's processing his guilt over the kicking. So I guess, you know, in any new show, you've got to establish the world and everything like that. God, I've been defending this for ages now. Say something quick.
Your Honour.
Shall we see what next week's episode
Let's
is
do
called?
that.
Next week's episode is called Harmless, but it's H''armless.
So somebody loses an... Oh, is it like one-upping MC? Like MC lost his hand, now Chip loses both of his arms.
Or is it because Kat hurt her arm? That can't be an entire basis for an episode.
Or is it because Chip doesn't punch anyone, he just kicks them?
I don't know how to pronounce that. Do we say harmless or armless?
Armless. Armless. Sounded Yorkshire.
Our Chip's going to go to Leeds.
Vampires don't go there because there's things infinitely worse.
Vampires are terrified of flat caps. Well, if you've got any theories on how we can actually pronounce the title of this next episode, there's numerous ways in which you can get in touch. You can find us on Facebook. We're at facebook.com/HowIRippedOffPodcast.
And we are on Twitter at How I Ripped Off.
And you can find our entire back catalogue free of charge on SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio, iTunes and YouTube.
And if you want to leave us a rating and a review, like a something Italian restaurant, don't know where I'm going with that. There was going to be a bit, I lost inspiration. Let's just carry on, power through. We would appreciate that very much. Call it a sympathy review for that fucking terrible attempt at a joke there.
That's the thing about my writings, it just saps all the creativity out of the room like a black hole of work.
I was just thinking that I was glad that we managed to get the hard drive working, get all the bits off this, but now I'm not sure.
It's going to affect our lives like a cancer. Won't that be something to look forward to?